I work up the West Coast a lot, especially in Oban, and a lot of the work in the West Coast is on roadworks, so I get to work with tar squads a lot. Well, he knows what's coming. And tar squads are mental. They are all mental. It's written into the contract, right? Must be an aspiring lunatic. It's how you've got to be. You've got to be an utter in a tar squad. You've also got to have at least one relation from the Ratliff estate in Stirling. Yeah? It's true. Every tar squad I've ever worked with, there's always 2 or 3 of them from the Ratliff. Now, Oban's no different. The mad squad that I used to work with up there, they're all ex-Ratliff men. And this man was, he used to be in charge of them all. I was going to tell you about a few of them because they were real characters. So you've got the guy who kind of ran the squads, and I'm not going to give you his name, but they called him Shrek for obvious reasons, right? Now, he was, as well as being a right hard man, you know, he was a real hard man, a really good tar layer, he was a really engaging character, you know, and he could sit and talk to you about dead interesting things, and he could also do incredible magic tricks. So he'd come up to you with these big shovel hands, you know, and he'd take £20 out and set fire to it in front of your eyes, and then just bring it back again. The man's incredible. He would take a deck of cards and throw it, and he'd get you to shout a card out, and that card would jump out the deck to the side of it, you know. The man was incredible. So this was the head man. And the right hand man, we'll call him Big W. Right, Big W. Big W was a bit of a nutter, right? A really cracking guy, but I know it's a cliche, but he had his own stool in the Clarendon bar that nobody ever sat on, you know, Big W's stool. And he had a saying, he used to say, "Aye, when World War III comes, I'll be alright." Right? Now that doesn't mean he's got a cache of weapons in his shed, right? Or basically he lives off the land, this chap, and I don't mean he grows lettuces in his garden, right? It wouldn't really be fitting with this guy. What he does is he kills anything he can lay his hands on and eats it. Okay, so it's very rare you would open the back of his van and not find a deer in some form of dismemberment in the back, or a brace of rabbits or something hanging in there. He had a surgical kit under the front seat of his van. One time we were working in Connell Airport in Oban. We were resurfacing it, and I was walking past his van. It was parked out on the runway. I was walking past with the chain boy, and he's like to the chain boy, "Yeah, more yeah." So the chain boy walks over and he says, "Aye, is it your girlfriend's birthday and coming up?" And the boy's like, "Aye, it is, man, I mean, a couple of weeks, innit?" Like, here, a wee present you can get. And he gives them this wee, sort of soft, beautifully soft, grey, furry leather pouch, right? It's like, "Aye, a wee coin purse for him, you know." The boy's like, "Oh, that's nice, man, where'd you get that?" Willie opens the back of the van and says, "I just cut it off that deer there and washed it." Now, you can guess what he cut off the deer and washed it. I mean, if you want, you can imagine it was an ear, but you'd be wrong. So that was Big W. Now, there's another boy in the squad who really lives off the land. His nickname was, how can we put this? Starts with P, slightly fat. You know who I'm talking about. Starts with P, slightly fat, right? Now, I know this is a cliche as well, but apparently they did have a pot in the living room that people would come home and throw something in the pot for dinner that night. The dogs would be up looking in, seeing what was for dinner. So this man, sometimes the vans would come into the yard with the front end all burst in. Do you know why that was? Because they run up the verges to knock things over and so they can eat them. This happens a lot, right? So anyway, starts with P, slightly fat. Was working on a job I was working on up there, and at the time I was looking after the job as kind of site agent as well as being an engineer, so I was trying to be very professional, you know. And I was walking along the road job, talking to the designer on the phone, you know, this and this and that. And I turned round, and there's this duck hanging in front of my face, right? Big green-necked duck. Right? So I came off the phone, and it starts with P, slightly fat. I was holding this duck up in front of my face. I said, where did you get that? He says, "Oh, I just decided to commit suicide in the road there, you know." So I looked round the corner and I sees John Jones coming. John Jones was contracts manager, he was in charge of all this, a real gruff man from Leeds, a real great friend there, was a cracking guy. And he was in charge, so he's coming along and I'm like, "You better get rid of that, there's John coming." So he goes like this, you know a big yellow jacket, he gets a big yellow jacket and puts it inside the jacket, right? And does the jacket up, you know, and picks up a brush and starts brushing the road, right? So John comes round, "All right, Mark, how's it going? What's happening?" You know, so I'm talking away to him. And he stops mid-sentence and goes, "What the hell is that?" And I kind of looked along his eye line, and there's starts with P's lightly fat, nearly said his name there, sweeping away the road, right? And all you can see out the bottom of his jacket is 2 wee webbed feet. So that tenuously links to the next song, believe it or not, right? The next song is Copperhead Road by Steve Earle. And basically it's about a guy whose grandfather was a moonshiner in the old, in the old West, kind of South USA. And back in those days, the government was really, really strong in moonshiners because it was huge tax money they were losing. So they sent a man after him, and the man never came back. So the young lad learns of this later on in life, goes to Vietnam, comes back maybe a wee bit messed up with the old post-traumatic, and thinks, right, I'm going to do the same as my grandfather, except he doesn't do it with moonshine, he gets drugs and grows them up Copperhead Road. It's a lovely song, And the way that links to what I've just rambled on about is these guys from Oban, you could probably say these days they're poachers, really, the things they get up to. But these are skills that are passed down from father to son, and back in their grandfather's time, they maybe were poachers for a reason, to put a decent meal on the table, And I kind of think that's the same in Copperhead Road. His grandfather was maybe a moonshiner just to bring some money in, so talking about just after the Great Depression, maybe. But when it comes to the son, the grandson, maybe not quite necessary to go and grow drugs up Copperhead Road. So that is the link. Now, talking about filling for time. Now this song, right, the thing with this song is, right, it's got the best stomp I've ever heard of any song ever, right? So I'm going to make you stomp your feet, guys. I want to hear a bit of this. Right, come on, let's go. Stomp your feet, come on. Right, come on, louder. Right, maybe a wee bit faster. Right, keep going.